Hi everyone, and welcome to the Generalist, where security practitioners look beyond niches, silos, egos, and hopefully build their competence and credibility. My name is Ilya Umanskiy, and this is the next episode of the series that I started a few weeks ago that is called A View from a Non-conformist. And I'm basically continuing with the list of issues in our industry, in the industry of asset protection, or as many of you know it as security, that are so foundational, so fundamental to us that without solving those issues, it is not likely that our industry and the services we offer to those whom we're charged to protect are not likely to significantly improve, not likely to produce significantly better results. So the next three. First on this list is what many of you I feel already recognize about our industry, and this is oversaturation of tech. When I came to asset protection in 2000, just before 9/11, things I had to learn were still complicated, and I needed to understand how access control systems work, how to design a robust IT network, how to choose proper video surveillance technologies, how to deploy guard tour systems, and then look and understand different peripheral systems such as doors, gates, barriers, all of which would be electrified and connected via relays to control software. Today, more than 20 years after that, I notice how we have everything that is called smart. We refer to Internet of Things. And our industry, asset protection, is not any better because of it. I was hoping that it would be, but it isn't. We have primarily the issue of a lot of tech that overwhelms our operations, that hasn't been properly thought out and designed in order to achieve optimal fit for purpose. So we as users continue to grow more and more frustrated by the friction in our interaction with the different types of technology. And if we don't get frustrated, if we feel like, oh, this technology is working well for us, it is more likely that we haven't yet learned how this technology operates properly, or we are making a ton of assumptions about what this technology will deliver to us as we continue to use it. Or we may not be aware of a variety of different features that this technology has. And that's also a problem in and of itself, is this feature-rich systems that when we learn them, probably about 30 to 40% of those features are never used, and then kind of makes you scratch your head and ask a question, well, why did you design it that way? That those features are not even useful for me, or how do we optimize? Maybe I should make some changes in my operations. And so that becomes just more friction and less optimal usability. And so a good example that comes to mind for me was that school districts have been sold what's called an emergency notification and guidance app that several districts happily purchased. But when I did the test on that platform, it turned out that the platform itself was actually more a liability for users and for those who owned it, rather than um, a good tool, because it didn't give any guidance to different groups of users on as to what to do. The immediate communications were so generic that it was impossible to discern what is happening and what somebody's role should be, or what actions one would take. So I see a lot of technologies that arrive on our desktops or on our laptops or on our smart devices, our mobile phones, um, pretty much every day, looking very sexy. But when you start trying to figure out usability, especially for operations as sensitive and as, uh, I guess, as demanding as asset protection, then a lot of those systems begin to raise a lot of questions and concerns. For example, how do you switch from normal operation to emergency operation? What would the system do? Um, how does it assist users in decision making? So, unfortunately, I find that there's much to be desired, but we keep on buying more and more bells and whistles. Um, the next thing that, again, I'm sure is on a lot of people's minds is this propensity of clients to go to the lowest bidder when they make different acquisitions, either of services or of technologies and so on. And I've seen multiple failures of this approach, where just as recently as a couple of days ago, we helped a client avoid the lowest bid because it was very clear that the company proposing its services was banking on the fact that they would win because of the lowest bid, and then charge the rest of their fees in order to make their desired budget, or make enough money from this client after having won the bid through something that's called change orders, or through additional charges just by way of describing some of their services as outside of the original scope. And so this mantra of the lowest bid, unfortunately, also is very prevalent among clients that don't know anything about our industry, anything about procurement of services or technologies in our industry, particularly people in real estate, facilities management. And unfortunately, they can look very good initially in front of their management, saying that, look, I pushed the vendors, and the bid is the lowest bidder won, and they're going to give us good service. And maybe that could happen, but through the years of experience, I can say that unfortunately it's not likely to be the case. What's likely is scope will be reassessed or scrutinized by the vendor later on, and anything that falls outside of it, which is quite a bit, and unfortunately folks that don't understand security don't really pay attention to nuances like that, and vendors capitalize on that, and then unfortunately make their charges once they've been awarded. So I think what we should be thinking about is allowing people who understand how to procure asset protection services and technologies to be responsible for scrutinizing the bid process, and very carefully scrutinizing and pre-qualifying the bidders in advance of even allowing those companies to to submit their bids. So I think we're we're still in this issue we're still experiencing this issue of uh, probably a little bit of lack of competence about asset protection, bid management, bid scrutiny, bid award, and also don't understand, even as practitioners sometimes, enough about how to scrutinize one vendor or another vendor. So, um, last but not least, and we're going back to technology here, is this existing gap between human operators and technologies that we have. In a sense that we are trying to, in one form or another, to optimize the interaction and the usability of these technologies. But at the same time, we're not moving forward, it seems to me, with achieving orchestration between decision making by operators and their management, and how technology delivers signal to us, and how it delivers guidance, how it delivers not information but intelligence about certain either controls or incidents that we are addressing. And it's this orchestration or lack thereof that unfortunately is very prevalent still today in 2021. A good example of this could be that we have different, very feature-rich systems, be it video surveillance or CM and so on, that the way they're designed, they can adopt and utilize different policy controls or procedural controls that could be presented to users considering different scenarios. But the customization of those platforms, unfortunately, is still lacking. Operators and more senior decision makers don't necessarily either spend the time to feed different scenarios, if-then type situations, to these systems so that they could offer momentary guidance, or these systems are not even used in that manner at all. So there is no expectation of orchestration. You basically receive information from a system, you try to discern what's happening, and then human operators and senior decision makers try to come up with a solution, all of which takes quite a bit of time. I'm a big proponent of technology, no matter my previous statements about oversaturation or this lack of orchestration, but I'm a big proponent of technology that we can prudently use and understand all of its features and how scenarios that we're likely to be subjected to can be addressed by human operators and also by technologies that are available. And so I feel like our incident management is lagging behind in terms of orchestration between, again, human operators and technology. Our normal day-to-day monitoring suffers from the same. There's very little assistive direction from technologies to operators, again, scenario driven, or in addition to scenarios, policy documents, even when uploaded into these platforms, unfortunately, the user interfaces are not set up to break those policies into increments and join them with different steps of a certain scenario so that users could be better informed in the moment, if you will. So I want to leave you with these thoughts, and please consider that we still need to make a lot of improvements in our systems, in the way we use them, and also go back and take a look at the way we procure both services and technologies in our industry. Please stay safe. Thank you very much for your attention.